All right. Hi, everybody. So, as you just said, my name is Cutler. I did astrophysics at the laboratory for atmospheric and space physics this summer, just like Adriana. And yeah. Okay, so who am I? I'm a senior who goes to Ridgeway Secondary School. I'm 17 years old. I'm super interested in photography, astrophysics, physics in general, chemistry, hiking around the mountains, everything involved. And yeah, those are some of my photos. So yeah. So my Pinternship. So specifically my Pinternship kind of focused on astronomic polarity, and so that deals with polarization. And so to kind of give you an intro to that, so you probably know what polarized sunglasses are, right? They kind of make the sky a little bit darker, and they also make it so you could probably see into water, to like if you're fishing. Basically how polarization works is you have a light wave that has an electric field, which also has a magnetic field, that's why it's an electromagnetic wave, right? So you have this electric field that oscillates around the light wave. So this light wave is traveling forward. You have the electric field which oscillates around it, right? So for light to be considered polarized, this electric field has to oscillate in only one direction. So whether that's up or down, left or right, around the light wave, which might not even make sense right now, but for it to be polarized, the electric field has to oscillate in one direction. And in most cases with polarized sunglasses, that's up and down, and that's called a transverse wave. So yeah. Another thing is, the first 2 weeks actually of me being there, I was worked on assembling a 3D printer with Adriana, and I can get to that in a little bit, but for now I'm just going to talk about the spreadsheet right here. So for about a week during my Pinternship, I spent a lot of time looking at the sky on this program called Stellarium, and I looked at a bunch of different planets and deep sky objects and when they would rise above the horizon in Boulder to see when we could actually take photos of them. And yeah, it was really useful because we needed to know where stuff was and what time at night. So yeah. Okay, so what I learned. I first wanted to start out by really quickly adding, I went there to work with Dimitri, who is also Adriana's mentor, on polarization. But due to him kind of also having his baby and really cloudy nights and fire smoke actually, which got in the way of a lot, I got like 2 solid weeks of work in at LASP, but I would say I got many more nights than that in an actual observatory with someone who I didn't even plan to work with, who's the manager of the Summers Bosch Observatory at CU Boulder. So the first thing I'm going to talk about that I learned was actually how to assemble a 3D printer. I had no clue how a 3D printer worked. And now I do, which is really nice. And I just wanted to say, so like dealing with polarization in deep sky objects, one amazing example of something that you can learn about is the clouds on Venus actually. And so scientists looked at the clouds on Venus and they had no clue what they were made out of. And so they looked at the way that light reflected off of these clouds and they decided that there's no other material in the entire universe that can make light reflect that way other than sulfuric acid. So that's how scientists concluded that the clouds on Venus are made of sulfuric acid. And lastly, I learned how to actually run an observatory. So there was many steps to this. I actually had a binder I had to carry around that had a list of like 30 opening procedures before I could even touch the computer that would run the telescope. And so there was just so much to that and so many levers, and the actual observatory itself rotated on a dome on railroad tracks that were built in the 1950s when the observatory was originally built. So yeah. All right, so life outside of the observatory. When I wasn't at LASP or the Summers Bosch Observatory, I usually was at a local rec center, and I was either playing pickup basketball with other high schoolers or adults, or just working out in general. I would also take bike rides around Boulder, which is a really bikeable city, and I would also drive up to this place called Flagstaff Mountain. Flagstaff Mountain is about a 15-minute drive out of Boulder, and it is right above Boulder to the west, and it gives you an incredible view of Boulder and its campus. So this photo here on the right is of, you can see the stadium even, of CU Boulder, and yeah, that's from Flagstaff Mountain. Also, kind of outside of the observatory, I had a special kind of case with my internship, I would say. The first 2 weeks of me going there, I stayed with about 8 to 10 to 12, it kind of changed every day, climbers who were all just graduated college. They were from all across the country, a few of them knowing Sarah and Telluride here. And so that was really cool because they gave me a great intro to Boulder. And then about 2 weeks in, I switched to kind of a more introverted, smaller building with kids who all got max scores on their ACT, and they didn't really like to talk at all, but it's okay. And so that was quite the change, but honestly, life outside of the observatory like really taught me how to develop a daily routine, I would say. I really figured out kind of how to get into a workflow and how to start my morning, what I needed to do to be productive. So yeah. So I wanted to say thank you to everyone for coming to listen. I want to give a special thanks to my mentor, Dimitri, and Rose Smith, who is the manager of the Summers-Bosch Observatory. I also really would like to thank Sarah Holbrook and the Pinhead Institute. And lastly, I really want to thank my family, who actually drove me up to Boulder in the first place. And yeah, they just helped with everything, all of the above. So yeah. Sweet.